Giants 19, Panthers 16. Welcome to Talking Giants presented by SeatGeek. I'm your host, Bobby Skinner, here with my co-host, Justin Pennick. And we are 2-0 undefeated. And I don't know about you, Justin, but 2-0 feels a lot better than 1-0. It really does. Because after one game, you could say, it was a little bit of a lot of teams win their week one game. And the Titans missed a field goal at the end. But this, I don't know why, but I'm just so much more excited about 2-0. Like, all my hopes and dreams are coming true. I'm excited to break it down. We're going to do a rare start with the defense on a post-game podcast because, Wink Martindale balled out. Justin, how are you feeling? You were at the stadium. I know it feels good to be another victory Monday.
Wink Martindale masterclass. 2-0 does feel a lot different than 1-0. You're right, Bobby Skinner, especially because you win the home opener. If you are seeing me on YouTube, you are seeing my raccoon sunglasses tan. You know we're back at MetLife when we got some September sunglasses raccoon tans, Bobby Skinner. So I'm fantastic. Vibes at the stadium were immaculate. We're going to talk about that towards the end. But here's kind of like my little opening spiel that I want to start off with. We are going to start with the defense. But heading into this year, one of the main things that we were excited about was not really like the talent on the team, but how the coaching can elevate the players. We called Mike Kafka, I think, like the most important offseason acquisition because we're just excited about the coaching element that can be brought to this team this year. Head coach being included Brian Daboll. So week one, Brian Daboll going for 2 last week. And today, Wink Martindale's game plan and approach halted the Panthers offense despite a struggling offense, and the defense made plays when they absolutely had to. They did this all without Kayvon Thibodeau, number 5 pick in the draft, Azeez Ojulari, the franchise rookie sack holder last year, number 2 starting cornerback Aaron Robinson, and Leonard Williams for the better part of the last quarter. This is what we signed up for, Bobby. This is what we signed up for when we entered this rebuild, right? I think winning in the NFL, it starts with coaching, and through 2 games, the staff is fulfilling their end of the bargain.
And I think sometimes people overthink it. Like, that's where people go wrong. They forget you've got to win.
Yes.
That's a Baker Mayfield quote.
What have I been saying over and over again?
That's a Baker Mayfield quote. Suck it, Baker Mayfield, you gigantic loser. You go hang out with the other loser, Ben McAdoo. No, but seriously, Wink Martindale gets the game ball for this game. Like, he showed up. We had questions of Wink Martindale. What is he going to look like coming away from, he's only had success in Baltimore. The secondary is thin, and he really showed up and showed out. And there's a lot of different ways he did it, and I'm excited to break them all down. But the main stat, if you want to look at, is 18 points per game over the first 2 games of the year. But last week, the Titans were 2 for 10 on third down. That was 6th best in the NFL for week 1. I can't wait for all the stats to be adjusted for the league after week 2 because they were better. They went 2 for 12. The Panthers did on third down today. So over 2 games, teams are 18% on converting third downs versus the New York Giants. There's only been 1 fourth down conversion in that time. That third down is the money down, and that's when Wink has made his money.
And here's the thing, Bobby. Here's the most mind-boggling thing about that. Giants were 6 for 18 on third down today. They continued to face a shit ton of, third and longs. The Titans and the Panthers combined are 0 for 3 on third and ones. There have been teams that have gotten to third and manageable, third and short situations against the Giants. But when teams are getting to third down, Wink Martindale, whether it's pressure that's being brought, Wink Martindale, secondary, whether it's pressure that's being brought, the players, Wink Martindale, they've shut everything down, and it's been so fun to see. Where really the key in the NFL is to avoid third down, which some teams have done that, the first 2 weeks, but also getting into third and shorts. That's how you win in the NFL. NFL offenses have done that against Giants first 2 weeks. Giants defense is still shutting it down.
And again, when are your pass rushers the most important? Third down. And they've been missing Kayvon and Azeez and all of this. So it's been extremely impressive. He threw a lot of different looks. I want to get into them. First, last week I asked people to share the podcast with their friends. I really don't like asking our listeners to do things. And I only ask this maybe 5 times a year. Leave a 5-star rating and review. And if you've left one before, leave another one. I want us to be top of the football charts tomorrow. I want us. So after the Saints game, we hit top 10. That was our goal. After the draft, we hit 7th. I want us to hit 2nd. It's time to hit that goal. Now, number 1 is part of my take. They get millions of downloads, so we'll never surpass them for number 1 in the football charts. But I want to be number 2 in the football charts. That's a very doable goal. So do it. We put a lot of work in this. We're having fun. So let's take advantage of this moment, Giants fans, and let's be successful together. Let's not have the Giants be undefeated. Let's have Talking Giants be undefeated.
2-0 for number 2 on the charts.
And if you don't do it, I'm telling you. Something bad's going to happen to your family if you don't do it. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Something bad may happen to your family. And the next time something bad happens to your family, you're going to think, I didn't leave a review for Talking Giants. Now, listen, do bad things happen to every family all the time? Yes. But this is going to be the reason why. So just stop whatever you're doing and leaving a 5-star rating review. It's the simplest thing you could do. And if you've left one before, leave one again. All right, let's get into this.
Something bad happened to Baker Mayfield. Can we go right to the third down, basically game-clinching sack that Julian Love had, his first sack in his NFL career? Can we go right towards that, and then we'll break down some individual players? I think this play won the game. And, Bobby, you talk about all the time, sacks are drive killers, and this sack in particular was a game killer for the Panthers. So I looked at the dots, the next-gen dots, which is the best way to kind of get like a little bit of an eye-in-the-sky kind of perspective on game day before the game film comes out. So I looked at the game-winning sack that Julian Love had. Here were 3 out of the 5 pass rushers that came. Tony Jefferson, Xavier McKinney, Julian Love. Tony Jefferson and Julian Love were coming on the left side of the offensive line, and then I think you had Dexter Lawrence and Timon Fox were the other 2 pass rushers. You had Jihad Ward and O'Shane Ximines dropping back in coverage. Those were that little front 7 alignment that was coming on that Julian Love sack, and he eventually gets in and gets that sack in like 3.5 seconds, which is pretty darn quick to get a sack in the NFL. So that was my perspective of it. That's who came. Tell me more about the play.
Yeah, that was exactly what it was. You have simulated pressure. You give a cover 0 look. Like you line up everybody in the line of scrimmage. And again, I want to talk about the safeties in particular in this because the safeties were the MVP of the defense. The way Wink Martindale used them and then the way those guys performed. But you just give the illusion of like, hey, you got to block everybody. We might send everybody on this, so which means you got to keep guys in. So you pop guys out. Who would you expect to pop out? Probably your safeties, right? Nope. All 3 of the safeties come. Just all 3 of the safeties on the line of scrimmage. Don't forget Dane
Belton was deep, yeah.
Dane Belton on the backfield. And you drop back O'Shane Ximines, who is kind of like a pass rush only guy. He couldn't even play in the last game because part of it was he doesn't drop back in the coverage. And Jihad Ward, who's very slow. Good run defender, but very slow. You had him take care of the middle linebacker role. And then you had O'Shane Ximines drop into the curl hook area. And they left the middle of the field open deep. By the way,
they did.
But
yeah.
by time Baker Mayfield could have got to that or decided to throw to Ian Thomas on that, pressure's already there. And Julian Love also made a good pass rush move on that to go outside in on it and get the sack. And that sack's not only just like, oh, it ended the drive. That was 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, I believe.
It won the game.
They would have went for it on 4th down if it just ended up being an incomplete pass.
Yes.
Like that play won the game. And again, Wink Martindale, we talked about coming into this game because you're facing Chris McCaffrey, this receiving running back. And Austin Calitro didn't play well last week. We're like, let's run a lot of 3 safety sets. Well, not only did we run a lot of 3 safety sets, in fact, I'm excited. I'm interested to chart how many it was because there might have been three safeties on the field like 70% of the time. But they ran 4 safety sets, especially in the second half. And Dane Belton, he recovered that fumble on the opening kickoff, but he almost had an interception. Like, he was playing well, and it allowed Julian Love and Xavier McKinney to come down and play in the box.
And Julian Love was, like, interior linebacker number 2. Like, forget, like, Bobby, I don't know the whole, money. I don't know if you would even call him a money backer. Julian Love was, like, interior linebacker 2 for the majority of the day, and then, therefore, that also allowed Xavier McKinney to play a very interesting and effective and useful role today, too. So why don't you talk about that?
Yes. Sorry, say it again. That last part?
Xavier McKinney, because Julian Love was like playing in the box. He was like interior linebacker 2. And then, Dane Belton deep. Dane Belton was playing deep like he was playing a lot when we were in training camp. Like this was basically the alignment that we were seeing. So what was Xavier McKinney doing against Christian McCaffrey?
Well, first, we talked with Film Study Ravens and Ken Kusick, and he's going to be like when Wink Martindale's, a lot of coaches preach, oh, we're multiple, we do different things. Wink Martindale truly does do that on a week-to-week basis. In Film Study Ravens, Ken Kusick told us when we hired Wink Martindale that, like, hey, there's going to be times where he's just not playing linebackers. Like they're going to play, but they're not getting a lot of reps, and they're going to run 3 and 4 safety sets. There'll be times when they run, more that they'll run 4 outside linebackers on a play. But we talked about going into the game, and this is what Wink Martindale did, is Xavier McKinney was on Christian McCaffrey duty all game long. That was his role. Stop Christian McCaffrey in the receiving game and held him to 4 catches for 26 yards. He had 2 batted passes. I mean, Christian McCaffrey couldn't, and one of those catches was versus Tony Jefferson when when Christian McCaffrey flared out to the other side that Xavier McKinney was lined up on. So it allowed us to have a good coverage safety covering Christian McCaffrey. That's one thing it did. But also by playing those guys in the box, well, the Panthers want to protect, right? So it forced them to keep Christian McCaffrey into block on a lot of plays. And that's not what the Panthers want to do. But if you put all those guys up on your front, well, you can talk about how, well, hey, we just get them out and we'll throw hot. But you want to run your offense, okay? You want to run, get the ball to your wide receivers. So it forced Christian McCaffrey to stay in. And on those plays, Xavier McKinney had some authentic blitzes, but a lot of times it was just, hey, he's in man coverage, McCaffrey stay in the block, go. And on those plays, he had 2 batted passes, which I noticed before this game was a talking point among Andre Patterson, the D-line coach, Leonard Williams, Dexter Lawrence brought it up. Like, hey, Baker Mayfield had 5 passes batted last week. Let's get our hands up. Let's get their hands up.
I think there were 2 within the first couple drives that the Giants had batted passes.
Yeah, there was 2 by Xavier McKinney. I think there was 1.
Jahad Ward maybe too. I think had 1.
Maybe. I know there was 1 other. I can't remember exactly who got it. So
Dexter, maybe Dexter or Leo. One of them had him.
So you allowed Xavier McKinney to do that. And I don't think, and again, next week will Xavier McKinney's role be that? Probably no. They're going to do different things. So,
but that's why this defense is also, it seems to be, we're saying that this is awesome, this is awesome, this is awesome. We haven't really played an offense that I think is lighting it on fire yet. Producer Julian and I, we were talking before the show. We're saying that these aren't bad quarterbacks necessarily, but they're like the best of the bad quarterbacks in Baker Mayfield and Ryan Tannehill. So wait and see, but we're expecting to beat these pseudo bad teams. We were expected to be competing with the Titans. We were expected to win against the Panthers. So I will take all of this, and Wink Martindale is going to change week to week, which is awesome. He's going to adjust. Like this coaching staff has talked about offensively and defensively, that they want to adjust based on the matchup that's present. I feel like a lot of coaches actually talk about that and don't actually do it. I think this coaching staff is doing it.
Well, and here's why, you mentioned, well, they haven't played a great QB yet. But that doesn't matter because guess what? Look at the personnel on this defense, and then look at that personnel with Kayvon Thibodeau and Azeez Ojulari off
changes.
The field. So we talked about it coming into this year because we weren't expecting to go 2-0, but we came into this year and we're like, well, with Wink Martindale, I'm going to judge him on how he does versus these type of QBs. Like if week 5 in London, Aaron Rodgers lights us up, will I be happy? No. But I'm not going to be like, oh, Wink Martindale didn't. It's like, no, they just have better personnel and an elite QB on the other side, and we just don't have that personnel. So, like, that doesn't even matter to me. Yeah, will it be frustrating in the moment? Yes, but long term, like, it's showing like, hey, Wink Martindale is the real deal. And you get his personnel in here, and you're going to see number 1 ranked defenses like we saw in Baltimore.
Before we talk about some individual players on the defensive side of the ball, can I talk about one thing that I want you to look for when you do your film review, and then one thing that I saw from my seats? Can I tell you about that?
Go for it.
So I saw that Wink was bringing some blitzes, periodically throughout the game. So let's just say you're bringing a blitz from the left side of the offensive line. You're bringing in Darnay Holmes. You're bringing in Xavier McKinney. You're bringing in somebody, right? Which, by the way, I predicted over the summer that the secondary was going to have more sacks than the interior linebacker room. That's looking pretty good right now. Xavier McKinney missed a sack today. I was really mad. Really wanted him to get his first career sack. Anyway, if you're bringing pressure from the left side of the offensive line, what I saw Wink Martindale doing is already planning for Baker Mayfield is going to break containment and go to his right. Because if you have an unblocked pass rusher, which that's what Wink Martindale is really, really good at doing from Baltimore, is, leading the league in untouched, unblocked sacks and untouched and unblocked pressures. So he was already planning for Baker Mayfield breaking containment and moving to his right. So O'Shane Ximines I don't think he was asked to rush the passer. I think he was asked to drop back and stay on the opposite side of the field, so that would be the right side of the field if the defense is coming from the left side of the field. Wait for Baker Mayfield to start running, improvising, running outside the pocket, and then chase after him. How many times do you see in the NFL, Bobby, where teams send a really good blitz and it works and it gets through, but they don't get the quarterback down, and then the quarterback runs for a 10, 15, 20-yard gain? Wink Martindale, it seemed to be from where I was sitting, was planning for that. So then O'Shane Ximines is chasing him. Baker Mayfield has a choice to make O'Shane miss, to throw it away, take a sack, or make an insane throw on the run. Those are the choices that he has. So I love that was something that was planned, that Baker Mayfield has to make that kind of choice where O'Shane, it's designed where he's chasing him.
Yeah, they were funneling him. They're like, hey, this is where we want. Listen, we either want to get a sack here or funnel you to this area, and that's what they did. And O'Shane Ximines had the sack today. Leonard Williams made the sack, but O'Shane Ximines had a good second effort versus Akem Ekwonu and got it down. First sack since rookie year, so good on O'Shane Ximines. But I thought O'Shane Ximines' best plays were not like just in like. I didn't think he had like. And again, this is who O'Shane Ximines. O'Shane Ximines wasn't just like winning pass rush moves. A lot of his plays were that screenplay where it's like, see it, realize, make the tackle. He had a QB hit where he was in coverage, came up and played and got the QB hit on Baker Mayfield on a third down. Like O'Shane Ximines wasn't just like, hey, let's go beat this tackle and win my pass rush move. Like, no, they were using him, like you said, they were funneling things towards him, and then he was allowed to come up and make some plays doing that.
Yeah, he had a really good game, and I thought he had a good game week 1 too against Tennessee, where he played the run a little bit better than what we were expecting too. So O'Shane Ximines having a solid year. I think for a number 4 edge rusher, we went from having saying that O'Shane Ximines shouldn't be on the team to now maybe looking at him as the number 4 edge rusher, saying that if they viewed him as a fit in this system, right? Well, they're making him fit, and good on this coaching staff for doing so.
I want to talk about some other things too with the defense. But first, I want to talk to you about SeatGeek. Today's episode is sponsored by SeatGeek. Live events are back, which means you can get $20 off tickets at SeatGeek with promo code GIANTS. How about that? That's a great code. If you don't know what SeatGeek is, they're a ticketing app that makes buying tickets super simple. Did you use it to go to the game today, Justin?
No, I have regular season tickets, but I was actually at my tailgate, and one of my buddies, Nelson from St. Peter's Prep, he graduated a year before me. He turned to me. He's like, you have a code. You have a code for something, right? And I'm like, yeah, you're talking about SeatGeek because you want to buy tickets? So he said, use promo code GIANTS for $20 off your first purchase. And then he's like, thank you. I'm going to do that.
Whether it's concerts, basketball, baseball, festivals, or football, or more, SeatGeek puts tickets from all over the web in one place to make buying simple. SeatGeek rates every ticket from 0 to 10 to make sure you are getting a good deal. Green means good, red means bad. Every ticket on SeatGeek is backed by their buyer guarantee, so you can shop for tickets with confidence. Don't worry, we've got the hookup. Use code GIANTS for $20 off tickets at SeatGeek. That's $20 off your first purchase with promo code GIANTS. Make sure you click the link in the description to download the app. You'll be glad you did. All right, Leonard Williams went out with a knee injury. He told reporters afterwards it won't be too bad. But he was playing really well. Dexter Lawrence played well. And it was good to see Leonard Williams do that coming off of a week where I thought he underperformed what his expectation is. But they're really getting pressure with the interior rushers.
Yeah, and the thing about Leonard Williams, and I don't love him when he's asked to do this, but because they don't have edge rushers that they can really trust right now, Leonard Williams has been asked to be like a hand in the dirt defensive end, like Justin Tuck, that kind of role. And I don't like Leonard Williams rushing the passer on third down when he's going up against the left tackle. I don't think he has the speed. You're not betting on Leonard Williams beating his guy around the corner. You're just betting on him bull rushing. So
he's not good in that role. They play him in that role. Oh my God, I'm in a coughing fit right now.
Oh my God, Bobby is coughing, sneezing. It wouldn't be a really good episode if Bobby's not coughing, sneezing. Julian, do not edit any of this out.
I was drinking some water. And also that helps play the run from a lighter box, is you have Leonard Williams at the edge and then 2 other defensive tackles on the inside and then Jahad Ward on the other side. Mm-hmm. So he played really well. Cordell Flott got the start.
I was right. You were wrong.
Was I, though?
We were both right.
So Flott got the start. In the first half, they just didn't target him. You know, and it's hard to see without the All-22 exactly what's happening. But they didn't target him. And then they came out in the second half.
Well, you're missing a key component here. Cordell Flott was covering DJ Moore.
Yeah,
like we were talking about how Adoree Jackson should be following DJ Moore, and that was not the case.
And I have a theory on why they did that. Adoree Jackson followed Robbie Anderson. They put Cordell Flott on DJ Moore. And they came out of the half and then scored that touchdown. They targeted Flott a few times on that drive. And they immediately switched to Fabian Moreau, which I think is good in-game coaching to be like, hey, they found a mismatch, and they're going to go after it, you know, and no matter what your expectations are for Cordell Flott's rookie year, a DJ Moore would be a tough matchup for him, especially in his first game. So they made the switch to Moreau, and DJ Moore was pretty quiet after that. I don't even know if he had a catch after that.
He was quiet throughout the entire game besides that touchdown.
Yeah.
So.
Shi Smith, by the way, helped us out with a couple drops he had that were pretty bad. You know, their slot wide receiver out of South Carolina.
Yeah.
And then Baker missed him on a play where it could have been a big play.
Yeah, there was a lot of favors that Carolina did, but I'm
that's
not
part of
apologizing.
That's part of pressure, though. That's part of knowing your opponent in Baker Mayfield and putting the pressure on him.
Yep. How many times has that been us? You know.
And so they put Adoree Jackson on Robbie Anderson, and my theory on this is that really their only offense came last week from a Robbie Anderson deep ball, and I think they were just living by like, hey, we don't want to have to totally bracket one side, over the top, because we're going to want to put these safeties down in the box, but we can trust Adoree Jackson to stop the deep ball, and he does. That's what he does. You know, Robbie Anderson had 3 catches for 32 yards. His long of 19, that wasn't on Adoree Jackson because it was cover 3, and he went on a crosser, which means that's not Adoree Jackson's responsibility anymore. So shut him down. I mean, Adoree Jackson has been giving up over the last 10 games like 1.5 catches per game. And awesome. 10 yards per game, and that's gonna be 10 game. You know, went from 9 games to 10 games now. So to me he was the most outstanding player on the Giants defense last year, and that's continuing to stand true.
Yeah, absolutely. And him taking over that CB1 role, awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. You know, there's some scary wide receivers that are in the NFC East, and you know he'll be going up against CeeDee Lamb next week, who isn't off to the most awesome start this year, but that'll be a big test, and CeeDee Lamb kind of got the best of us last year at times.
I can't believe the Cowboys won. But anyways, anything else on the Giants defense before we move to the offense?
I think you might have mentioned it, but Dexter Lawrence, I thought, had a really, really good game. There's one particular moment where
that's pass rusher in week 1.
I think it was a 3rd down, 2nd down, an important play early in the game where he chased Baker Mayfield and kept up with him. You know, and it forced him out of bounds. It was awesome stuff, awesome effort. So Dexter Lawrence, who else did I really think had a good game?
We basically mentioned everybody.
Yeah, I think we kind of hit on everybody. So Darnay continues to be suspect in man coverage.
Wasn't as bad as last week, which wasn't
as bad, but he gets
again,
the flag.
Shi Smith drops helps him out a little bit.
And gets a flag in inopportune times later in the game. So I think that's just going to be a thing as the...
That was a bogus call, though, actually. That was great coverage.
Okay, good.
I watched the slow-mo. Even in the slow-mo... you know how everything could look like pass interference in slow-mo replay? Mm-hmm. Even in slow-mo replay, that was a bogus call. So I don't want... So I'm letting Darnay off the hook for that.
Let Darnay off the hook. All right, Bobby, before we talk about the offense, can we talk about Bear Burger?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's talk about Bear Burger.
Bear Burger, they're back, baby. You miss Bear Burger? Well, guess what? They are back. Can we get some Bear Burgers in the chat? They're a burger joint. They're not the type to be bogged down by the labels. Their menu is filled with options for everyone, regardless of dietary preferences. There's only one restriction you'll be limited to. And guess what? That's food that is made to taste great. You can create your own favorite burger. This is big. Didn't know there was this feature. They take burgers very seriously at Bear Burger, but the menu is filled with options for all. Build your own creation. And let us know John Boy sent you. Let us know Talking Giants sent you. And then tweet it at Bear Burger for a chance to win a Bear Burger gift card. DG, you know, the Honestly Dave Gettleman account, you know, the former general manager of the Giants, he tweeted out that he was at Bear Burger. I wonder if he won that Bear Burger gift card. So what I want you to do, I want you to click the link in the description to find yourself at the best happy hour spot, tastiest burger joint, and overall great spot. Order.bearburger.com. Bear Burger all over. Tri-state area, New York, New York City, New Jersey, Connecticut. You'll be glad you did.
You'll be glad you did. On the opposite side of all that great defensive stuff, and like the defense won the game, is that the offense didn't play well. But I do want to start with the positive with Saquon Barkley. You look at his final numbers, and you're like, oh, 72 rushing yards, 3.4 yards per carry.
All came in the second half.
That's not anything special. But in the second half, he had 65 rushing yards on 14 carries. And they stayed true. Kind of like last week, they didn't have the big plays that popped off. But Saquon Barkley was good in the second half, and he faced a stacked box all game long. Like, they stacked the box. The Panthers did not want Saquon Barkley beating them the way the Titans got beat.
According to Next Gen, Titans stacked the box 5% of Saquon Barkley's carries. I think Saquon ran a lot more out of the shotgun week 1 versus week 2. I'll chart those attempts. But week 2, Next Gen had Saquon on the hook for running into an 8+ man box 25% of the time. That's quite a difference. So the Panthers, it was clear that the Panthers weren't going to let Saquon do the things that Tennessee let him do.
And even then, I don't really like. You can have a 7-man box, but if you have 6 blockers, it's a stacked box.
Right.
But yeah, he was facing a stacked box all game, and then he played tough throughout the entire game. Like, it was not easy yards. There were no easy yards for Saquon Barkley. He hit the hole hard. There were plays that should have been negative plays, and he turned them into positive plays, whether it was 1-2 yards, or there was, some that he turned into 4 or 5 yards in first down conversions. In that last drive, where they kicked the game-winning field goal, he had 28 of the 37 yards on that drive.
And how many times have we said in the past?
And the other plays essentially there was one completion to Shep. All the other plays were like negative. Like, you had a negative 4-yard run by Matt Breida. You had a penalty on the third down that put him deep, and then they got like 5 yards back on the next pass.
Yeah.
But the rest of the offense was trying to hold Saquon Barkley back, and he was still performing.
And I got PTSD. Because how many times, think back to that Washington Thursday night game last year. We just needed one fucking first down. One first down. So my thought is, as soon as that sack happens, Julian Love gets that sack, we get the ball back. One first down. One first down basically wins the game. Saquon Barkley, Giants offensive line, Giants run blocking, got that first down, did what they needed to do, won the game.
Yeah, and then Daniel Jones had that run at the end. So
Daniel Jones run at the end, too. Yes.
We'll talk about Daniel Jones in a second. But I just, Saquon Barkley's not going to win NFC Offensive Player of the Week. He's not going to get snubbed for the FedEx. Maybe he will be on the FedEx Ground Player of the Game this week, since they don't know what they're looking at. But it was a good performance. Like, if you think about where we were last year, and then you think a 72 rushing yards, 90 total yards is a bad game, is like off the standard. That's a good place to be with Saquon Barkley. So I was very happy with his performance this game, even though the box score doesn't necessarily say Saquon Barkley had a good game. And again, the second half was a different story. Like, the Giants are like, you know what, we're going to run the ball no matter what. Like, we're not going to, they had the lead, so that helped, but they're like, we're going to stay committed to the run, and again, 65 rushing yards on 4.6 yards per carry the second half.
Yeah, I honestly don't think it was a preference of they wanted to run the ball. I honestly think it was just they just can't throw the ball. They can't. I think they want to.
That's why they wanted to run the ball, is because they couldn't throw the ball.
Yeah, but I think there's a difference in mentality. They're saying that the Giants want to run the ball versus that they can't throw the ball. And that's where we go next.
Well, yeah, so, we talked about, was the Panthers' offense bad? Does everybody that's listening, I want everyone that's listening to give me a verbal answer. Was the Panthers' offense bad?
Julian.
Yes. Everyone agrees, yes. The Panthers' offense averaged 5.1 yards per play. The Giants' offense averaged 3.8 yards per play.
Ooh.
The Giants, the defense won this game, and then Daniel Jones was a big part of the offense. The main part, essentially, of the Daniel Jones and the interior offensive line were the main part of the Giants' offense not being good. Daniel Jones' stats were 22 of 34, 176 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions, 5.1 yards per attempt. and they have 5.1 yards per attempt on a game where you didn't only complete 50% of your passes, that's a bad number. Like the touchdown drive was great. You went 4 for 6 for 60 yards, I believe, 64 yards. But Daniel Jones left points on the board multiple times.
Yes.
Multiple times. And again, two things can be the same, be true at the same time. The interior offensive line was bad, and they were the blame on a lot of plays. But there were plays where Daniel Jones left points on the board. The second drive of the game, 3rd and goal, he had Shep. He ends up taking a sack, but he should have pulled the trigger on that and taken it. There was a Kadarius Toney play. Crossing route. Wide open. You got to pull the trigger on that, especially to one of your best weapons, a Kadarius Toney. Pull the trigger on, takes a sack. And then there was a few other plays that weren't as big where he just didn't pull the trigger. I don't know what it is, man, because I've watched this guy every snap 3 times over the last 3 years and now 2 games. And I've never seen him look this uncomfortable behind an offensive line. And he's played behind bad offensive lines. I've never seen him look this uncomfortable before.
Yeah, Sterling Shepard said something that I actually thought was quite interesting in his post-game press conference too, where he talked about being in the right spot, not just post-snap, but pre-snap. And I didn't, maybe I'm not fully understanding what it means.
That 3rd and goal, they were lining up at they were switching spots, and they were definitely missing. When Brian Dable yelled at them, that's what he was yelling them about.
Okay,
was they weren't lining? They had the rush because they couldn't. They were all lining up wrong.
All right, that's good to know. 2 games in a row where Brian Dable's ripping players a new asshole. Kind of love it. Yeah. So he was talking about that at the end of the game. Part of me, Bobby, is it foolish, and just because the Giants are 2-0, I'm saying this, but because the Giants are 2-0, I think they've afforded the right for me to say this. I think the offense is going to inevitably get better. I think Jones is inevitably going to get better, and I'm not fully concerned about it. The thing that I am concerned about is the fact that we're rolling out, at times, Richie James. There was a drive this game where Richie James, Darius Slayton, and David Sills are the 3 wide receivers that are on the field.
Well, here's what I'll say is we're 2-0. So if the offense starts playing better, no one's going to remember they didn't play well in some wins earlier in the year. So if they turn it around. But if from a Daniel Jones point of view, if you're Daniel Jones' father, that's where you would be concerned, because he hasn't played well these first 2 games. And for him, it's not about just winning as many. This isn't year 1. This isn't year 2. It's about him earning the right to be on the team next year. Now, and again, this QB class is not looking as fun as it did in the offseason, so I'm not saying the Giants are 100% drafting a QB in the first round. There's nothing wrong with waiting a year. If you want to remember, go back to, Justin Herbert. Giants would have been smart to wait a year. But again, for a guy whose 5th-year option got declined, he's got to play better than this. And the defense won this game. The offense, the running game was the best part of the offense in week 1. He hasn't, but and then he also had the end of the half. He had a dropped interception that could have ended up being 6 points.
Bad.
I hate when every time something doesn't work, people that would have been a touchdown one way or the other. But that could have been a touchdown. I won't say would have been a touchdown, but it could have been a touchdown. So, and there were some good moments, okay, where Daniel Jones did add some points, hitting David Sills on that 24-yard pass on 3rd down. That got them to where they could kick 3 points. But there was just too many times where he left points off the board.
There was a 4th and 1.
With better QB play, this should have been a blowout.
Right. No, yes, especially the first 2. One of the things that we did not talk about.
Mahomes. I'm not saying top 3 quarterback in the NFL. That's another thing that bothers me is people you should aim to have Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen. I was well, no shit. Of course, we should all aim to have the best 3 quarterbacks in the NFL. But there's got to be some middle ground on quarterback evaluation.
Yeah.
But he didn't play to the 2nd tier or the 3rd tier level today.
No.
And I think he's better than what we've seen these first 2 weeks too.
No, absolutely. He's better than it. But just hasn't been playing like it. I mean, that's just flat out the truth right now. One of the things that we did not talk about, we are on the offense, so Giants special teams and defense forced turnovers the first 2 drives, and the Giants have the ball at least inside the Panthers 30-yard line, and they only come away with 6 points. And it's not not just, you only come away with, 3 points on each drive, but it's a 3 and out. And that's a really sour taste in the mouth, because how many times did we see that under Joe Judge and Jason Garrett, right? You get an opportunity that's granted by special teams or defense, and you just squander it. So that was really, really bad to start out the game. And then especially when the Panthers tie it, it's like, shit, we're right back where we were, right back where we used to be. So, the misses were bad. The misses were really, really bad. And the one time that I really got infuriated and screamed during the game is when Daniel Jones missed Kadarius Toney on that crossing route.
Yeah, like you got to have that. The one critique I'll have on the coaching staff is that second drive where they did get down, like David Sills had that first down on catch. I hate the Wildcat. I just think, like, once you're in the 10-yard line, don't hit me with the cute stuff. They did that, and then they tried to do the misdirection QB power, and that ended up being like a 5-yard loss. And then the next play is when Daniel Jones missed Sterling Shepard on that play. So again, he just doesn't look comfortable, and I've never said that about Daniel Jones in 3 years. There's been times like Daniel Jones looks bad, but it's never been like he doesn't look comfortable. He doesn't This is a complicated offense, and I think he's maybe having some issues processing in it. But he just, I don't know. But we're 2-0, so it's winning heals wounds. So being 2-0 and having this stuff figuring out right now, it feels a lot better than being 0-2.
I want to get your thoughts on this. This offense, I think, whether by design or whether it's just by accident, this offense is asking Daniel Jones to make a lot of throws on the run. And I don't think Daniel Jones is a quarterback that should be routinely making plays on the run, because I think he's a fine pocket passer, and I think his mobility is a strength when it comes from when he tucks it and he runs it. I mean, you saw that, when he kind of clinched the game there, when he could take a knee on that first down, just running up straight through the middle of the field. Escaped a lot, but when you're asking Daniel Jones to throw on the run a lot, I think that is not a winning formula. What do you think?
So you're talking about like on the bootleg plays?
No, well, not really on those. I mean, sometimes that's just simple, because then you got a guy in the flat, or like in that 4th and 1 play, I knew it was coming. Like I had Ethan next to me, and I was like, they're gonna run. Was it a 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1 early in the game?
4th and 1.
4th and 1. So I'm like, they're gonna run. They're gonna do play action. Then Daniel Jones is gonna take it himself and run. So I like those plays. I don't mind those plays. Jason Garrett actually ran those plays a lot. But I'm talking about when he breaks containment and he improvises and he just goes to his right, because he's doing that a lot more this year than he ever has in the past.
Yeah, but part of that is like interior pressure is different than edge pressure, and I think that's part of it, is the pressure is coming like immediately in front of his face. So, and again, that's not even where I'm criticizing. It's the times where there's time to make the throws and he's not making them.
Yeah.
Also, can I say that bull crap on that offensive pass interference on the Kadarius Toney 30-yard play? That's so annoying. Did you get to see a replay of that?
No, and even the TV broadcast clip that you posted, because it was Sills that got called for it, right?
Yeah, it was a garbage call. David Sills it wasn't like some rub route at the 2 yards down the line. It was well into the play, and David Sills is just running his route, and he runs into J.C. Horn, but J.C. Horn runs into him too. Like that was so annoying. They took a big play off the board on that. Man. So
Giants only had one 20-plus yard play today, and I think it was the 24-yarder to David Sills. That's it.
Yeah, I think that was the only one. So, hey, he's had some struggles, but we're 2-0. Get better. Get better, and no one will care about how you won week 1 and week 2. But there's no hiding that he has not played well these first 2 games.
Yeah. Bobby,
he hasn't been disastrous, but he hasn't played well.
Do you want to talk about one more thing before we talk about the rest of the offense?
No, I want to talk about the interior offensive line because it goes hand in hand in it, and then we'll talk about it. It is an issue. And Andrew Thomas gave up 2 pressures. They gave a pressure up and a QB a hit. And part of me is like, because I just want him to be perfect all the time. But it is nice to be in a spot with a player who's like, he gave up a pressure and a QB hit. Bad game.
Bad game.
It's like that's where we are with Andrew Thomas.
He's human?
Evan Neal, I thought, was the second best offensive lineman, but that's not much of a compliment because the interior. I mean, Mark. We talked about it with Kowinski. Glowinski's an upgrade over what they've had, but he's never been a good pass blocker. Like, the best you could say about him as a pass blocker is average. Feliciano was bad. I think one of the defensive tackles had like 4 tackles for a loss. It was crazy. Bredesen and Azudu were bad. They weren't as bad as they were week 1 facing Jeffrey Simmons, but they were bad as well.
They were rotating like every series too.
So it's just the interior offensive line is it is an issue, and it does nuke plays. So it's just not, they're just not good pass blockers up front. Like we're in a place where we want Shane Lemieux back.
Desperately.
Yeah. So I just don't know how you fix that though. Like, it's just, but besides just say, hey, it's a rebuilding year. Not everything's going to be fixed.
So the Bobby Johnson philosophy of pass blocking, is it meant to help tackles or is it meant to help the interior offensive line? You talked about this once and I forget.
It helps tackles not get beat inside, and it helps tackles not get beat inside really, or let pass rushers get huge momentum and killing the tackles, and it just helps you work as one. So it's a wall, but if you just get beat, you get beat.
Yeah.
Like it's not Bobby Johnson's, the whole, aggressive sets. Like, if you just get beat, you get beat. Like, those are actually help guards better because they're not giving you any space between defensive alignment. They're just getting flat out beat. So that's just a flat out issue. Like, the O-line report this week it's not going to be fun.
No. What's the approach? What's the first segment?
Probably just an Evan Neal segment.
Evan Neal? Okay.
Yeah. I guess some other thing. I mean, I'm actually pretty interested to talk about the tight end room, and we got some other stuff to talk. We got to talk about Kenny Golladay, right? We got to talk about that. The NFL action is in full swing here at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. We're talking, and they spelled it like the way we spell talking. That's how you know what I'm talking about. Touchdowns, big plays, and even bigger wins. New customers can bet just $5 on any NFL team to win and get $200 in free bets if they do. If that's enough, everyone can boost their winnings with DraftKings stepped-up same-game parlays. Right now, for every leg you add, you can boost your winnings up to 100% with payouts bigger than ever. Why bet on football anywhere else? I agree. To make things even sweeter, you could throw down on stepped-up same-game parlays once per game day, all season long. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code JOHNBOY to get $200 in free bets if your team wins when you place a $5 bet on any football game. That's code JOHNBOY only at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. All right, I want to talk about Kenny Golladay, but first, just a quick note on the tight end room. Tanner Hudson made 2 third-down catches today.
Big Tanner Hudson day.
And I think it's like, okay, Tanner Hudson's the third down tight end. Chris Myrick's the fullback, when they want to run 2 tight ends, and Daniel Bellinger's like just their typical wide tight end.
There was a drive where Tanner Hudson was in for the majority of the plays. And I think it was right before Daniel Bellinger scored a touchdown.
Yeah, he converted a third down on that play.
Yeah, but he was in
that's where he had that 15-yard play.
I mean, he was even like run blocking. Like they had him like in line, and I know Tanner Hudson's not the best blocker, so I think it's a little bit more of a split. Like Tanner Hudson and Daniel Bellinger are like splitting reps, I think. The
Daniel Bellinger touchdown was just beautiful play design. They ran a post wheel on one side, they motioned him from the backside, and it just left him wide open because
Kenny Golladay and Richie James were clearing, running just straight down the field. They cleared a path.
Just think about what a post route is and a wheel route is. In fact, this is the Evan Ingram touchdown versus the Raiders last year. Evan Ingram was the wheel route. So you had 3 defenders for 2. You had 3 for 2. So Kenny Golladay runs the post. Richie James runs the wheel. There's 2 guys deep in the red zone. All 3 of those guys are covering that. But because Bellinger motioned in late, they're not thinking about that flats receiver gets it and then just makes an awesome effort to dive for it. That was an awesome effort. I thought he was going to come up short on that, but especially with the way the Giants offense is, like diving in and getting that is more important than you might realize in the moment.
Yeah, it beats 21 to the pylon there. This is 2 weeks in a row where Mike Kafka has called up a play that has gotten a skill position player wide open for a touchdown. 2 weeks in a row. The big play to Shep last week, and then inside the red zone this week to Daniel Bellinger. Huge stuff.
The Chris Myrick was wide open too.
And then right, so there you go. Three touchdowns in the last 2 weeks.
So that was encouraging. I like the red zone offense. All right, let's talk about Kenny Golladay, and then we'll close it out.
How many snaps?
2 snaps.
2. We talked about one of them.
Yeah. We just gave you a full breakdown of one of his 2 snaps. The Giant, if who has the best scoring percentage of snaps on the Giants this year? It's Kenny Golladay. So Brian Dable said after the game in his press conference that he went to talk to Kenny, during the week of practice, and told him hey, we're gonna go with David Sills. And then Ryan Dunleavy after the game said Kenny Golladay was not in his locker room after his locker was empty after the 15-minute cooling off period for post-game media. Now they don't use that. Those aren't their practice lockers. They're only game day lockers, so they don't just leave their stuff in. But basically that tweet is saying he didn't want to talk with media, and he dipped. I actually am not mad about it. Does that bother you? I know people are take response, but he didn't play. So
No, I'm not mad about it because he's not a player on this team.
So I'm not mad at him for not wanting to deal with that. I really am. The whole face to music, he didn't play. But to get benched, he just got Kenny Golladay with the 4-year, $72 million contract in year 2 of it got benched for David Sills. This is bad. This is a bad situation with this. I don't know what to make of this. I'm not mad. Listen, he didn't play well last week. His camp wasn't great. So I can't be mad at the coaching staff. But this is bad that this guy is just got flat out benched for a game. Not like they rotated him in and he had 25 snaps and David Sills had 20. They just flat out benched this guy.
This is no offense to Richie James, who I love, and he's wide receiver 1, leading the team in catches. No offense to him, but the Giants... this is Warren Sharp's dumb stat that he tweets out all the time. I think the Giants are spending the most money in the NFL in their wide receiver room. You can make a legitimate argument that right now the Giants have one of the worst wide receiver rooms in the NFL right now.
Yeah, their main rotation
because they're not playing Kadarius Toney and they're not playing Kenny Golladay.
Tony did get 25 snaps today, so I was happy with that. Yeah. But their 3 rep leaders were David Sills, Sterling Shepard, and Richie James. We expected that at some point this year. Not with everybody healthy, besides Wandale. So for this to be happening week 2 with 15 games left, I'm fascinated to see what happens next with this. Because there's this... And I wouldn't blame Kenny Golladay, too. There's no way he's just going to sit on the bench for the next 15 games and be quiet. There's no possible way. And again, we're talking about... I also think Kenny Golladay is a better wide receiver than David Sills. I'm not happy with him, but I do think he's a better. But that's something's got to give with this, right?
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's one of those things. I've never seen this before.
I don't like the effort stuff, but it's just maybe it's the hip surgery. He just hasn't looked the same since then. But he looked better. So last year with all the disappointing production. He looked like a good wide receiver out there. Just a touchdown never happened, and the offense was bad. And then when Daniel Jones went down, it was horrible. But he averaged 53 yards per game last year with Daniel Jones, which isn't great numbers, but that comes out to 900 yards in a season. That's I just don't know how this works out.
Yeah, and I'm not even obviously you're 2-0. I'm not really complaining about it, but the Giants.
I'm not complaining about Golladay. Sorry, I keep cutting you off. I'm not complaining about Golladay not playing. But this is a wild scenario for this to be in this.
Yeah, it's confusing, man. I don't really fully know what the end goal is here. Dable also talked about too, which I thought was interesting. Under the same breath that he said that, he talked to Golladay that Sills is going to get the reps. I think every week is an evaluation, and he said that. Dable said every week is an evaluation for these wide receivers. And that's what I honestly think it is. But I think that's Brian Dable's way of saying maybe besides Richie James, none of these guys are
one ship.
And let me finish my sentence. Besides Richie James, none of these guys are realistically even going to be on the roster after this year. Maybe David Sills.
Maybe David Sills. Oh my God. I'm fascinated to see how this plays out.
But the Giants wide receiver room, if you have a Kenny Golladay who can't move / is not playing, and when you have Kadarius Toney who is the 4th option, the Giants wide receiver room is one of the worst in the NFL. Wouldn't you say so?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Tough.
Now you can wide receiver is a position where if you have a good scheme and better QB play, the wide like it's not as important. We saw what Daniel Jones was able to do his rookie year with a bad wide receiver room, but yeah,
what was that room? Let's revisit that.
Slayton, Shep, and Tate.
I take that.
No, that's what I'm saying, but I don't know, man. This is going to be an interesting week, and next week on Monday night, like you get the national stage, and Kenny Galladay's playing 4 snaps.
Yep,
that's going to be a huge story. Like it's the Giants are 2-0 right now, so it's not going to be talked about, and we're happy. But I don't know. It's like I'm not even mad. It's crazy that this is where
bizarre.
we are. He was with the first, and we talk about guys need to be at practice. Kenny Galladay missed 1 practice the entire training camp. He was with the first team. Like he had the most catches in practice of any wide receiver. So I don't know what happens next, but it's going to be interesting. We're going to close it out. How was the tailgate?
Tailgate was super fun. What was cool is a lot of Snacks' crew. They weren't necessarily there week 1. There was a wedding. Snacks actually didn't. He came to the tailgate, left at 11:30 to go to a wedding. And he wanted to be at the wedding and at the venue so he can actually watch the game. What fucking friend has a wedding on a Giants Sunday? The Giants home opener on Sunday. Terrible friend. Congratulations to Black Steve who got married. Neither here nor there. Tailgate was awesome. And it was still filled with a ton of people. Like El Jefe was there. Clem stopped by. Ethan was there. I'm sorry if I'm going to be forgetting somebody. There was El Jefe, he has people in his videos. Carlos was there. A guy that looked exactly like Coach Dable was there. Who else? Wes Locke was there, of course. Chris Mickle was there. I met Chris Mickle for the first time. A bunch of people really came out. Jack Cordero, he brought some friends, brought some buddies. I saw some friends from high school that came too. So it was a lot of fun. Sold a lot of Talking Giants tailgate crew shirts. Monday Night Football against Dallas is going to be our blackout game.
Free food next week, Monday Night Football too, right?
Yes, free food. So we're getting a catered by the Candlewick Diner. That's going to be our first of 2 tailgates that will get a catered by the Candlewick Diner. So the tailgate was awesome. Vibe was really, really cool. Stadium was packed early. Like the parking lots were really getting packed. Long lines getting in. And then the stadium itself was, I don't know how I actually want to hear how it sounded on TV. And if you actually felt that at times, maybe Baker Mayfield was being impacted by things, calling at the line of scrimmage.
It was loud on third downs.
Good. It was loud on third downs. Wink Martindale told us to be loud on third downs, and being 1-0 and being involved in this game and winning this game, I think it's going to go a long way. Where the Panthers aren't a team, they're an expansion team. They're not a team that I feel like has a lot of fans that are in the tri-state area. So it'll be a huge test next week when there's a bunch of, there's going to be a lot of Dallas fans there, but it's just going to be a matter of how much and how can Giants fans fill these seats and if we can show up and be loud. So
let's go 3-0.
The best culture that you can establish is a winning culture. And when you win, the fans are going to come back to MetLife Stadium, and that's already started.
I feel so good that we're 2-0. Like I feel so much better than I did last week. I really do. Julian, did we miss anything that you think we should have hit on in this?
How do you feel?
I feel amazing. I haven't felt this way about the Giants in forever. I mean, since 2016, obviously, but it feels like actually in ages ago. And I'm pumped for next week. I'm like, when I knew I was going to this week 3 game, it was like, cool, never turned down an opportunity to go to a Giants game, but how exciting can it be in a lost season? But now that we're 2-0 going into a Monday Night Football divisional game, like I'm so pumped. Like it's going to be amazing.
This is also something too. So Julian is coming up for the Monday Night Football game. He is going to vlog. He's going to vlog the tailgate.
So act like a fool when he's around. Want to get it all on camera.
Act like a fool. So grab some free food, be part of the Talking Giants tailgate crew vlog, and let's go 3-0. Let's do it again next Sunday.
Yeah, I want all the energy possible whenever I've got my camera pointed at someone, because I'm going to make a video. And when we win, I would imagine the vibes are going to be super high. Because, yeah, you said it, but like I haven't watched a Giants game on TV where I could feel the crowd was a part of it in a very, very long time. And you could tell how electric the stadium was. And I can only imagine it's going to be more so for a primetime game.
I love it.
I can't believe the Cowboys won today. Like, that blows my mind that the Bengals blew that.
That's the first thing I'm doing Monday morning is I'm going to watch that condensed version of that game and see what the hell happened. I'm kind of more curious to see what's happening with the Bengals more than anything rather than the Cowboys. So, but I'll do two birds, one stone.
All right. So did we miss anything that we should have talked about?
No. Thanks everybody for always sticking with us. And hopefully it only gets better.
Leave a rating and review, please. Please leave us a rating and review. I'm not going to ask you this until like week 18 probably. Or you never know if we win.
We're close to 2,000. That would be cool to break 2,000.
Yeah, let's get to 2,000 and let's be the number 2 football podcast in the nation tomorrow. So, all right, we appreciate you guys. We'll be back on Wednesday for a mailbag. You'll get your O-line report, film review, stat report, all that good stuff out this week. So we'll be back Wednesday for mailbag. We'll put out a tweet Tuesday morning for you to ask your questions. We appreciate you guys. Happy Victory Monday. Happy being a Giants fan. It's all good. We'll see you then. Until then, let's go Big Blue.